be in the middle of change management, for the foreseeable future with the rate of, technology changes and enhancements. This is one of your superpowers that, I recognize you for, but others around you have always mentioned about you. Your approach to change management in a way that was, I'll say, safe. And by that, I mean, they could voice their concerns. What do you recommend, I would say, to make it safe, to make it empowering versus heavy and painful and arduous? Because again, it is one of your superpowers that you could just go in. And I remember at times there was this master spreadsheet that you and I kept, and we had so many projects on that spreadsheet, right? And yet we were able to implement so much of what we wanted to do without overwhelming the staff. Tell me about that superpower and what you did, Marilyn, and what do you tell others to do when it comes to change management?
Thank you for that. For me, I think it's been interesting just over the course of my own career, seeing how change management has been handled. And so when I got the opportunity to lead a team and to run these transformations within a group, I wanted to make sure it was done in a very thoughtful way, because especially in our industry, change is constant, like you mentioned, and there's a lot that teams have to adjust to, and before they know it, something new comes along and it's yet another change that they have to power through. And so for me, my approach is really rooted in transparency. We talked about that, where we provide opportunities for teams to really come and share their feedback, and so that we can continuously learn and improve on the processes and the tools that they have to use on a day in, day out basis. Being very inclusive in that approach as well, right? It's not decisions made by the leadership team and just pushed down. We are very thoughtful in creating teams, task force teams, for example, to come together, and they represent their teams and individuals on the team, and being able to share input, especially running a global team. It's really key and important to take in the cultural aspects of change as it relates to teams in other regions, and not drive it so much from kind of that US or HQ centric mindset, but really being inclusive of everyone involved, and breaking it down into a phased implementation. So making sure that we're not overwhelming the team by doing this big bang push, but breaking it down into more digestible chunks of the rollout of the initiatives, which you have to make sure it's meaningful and thoughtful, so that you can continuously improve along the way. And so I think it's about involving the team from the start, communicating the why behind the change. I think it's really important to make sure everyone is along on the journey, understands why they're on the journey and where are we trying to get to and how we're going to get there, and making sure that the team feels equipped to succeed in that new environment. So I think that if I were to summarize it into a couple of steps, it would be starting with the why and really clearly explaining the vision and benefits of the change, co-creating the solution, involving all the team members to help shape how the change will be implemented, phase rollouts, so testing changes in smaller pilot groups, gathering their feedback and refining before we scale out to the rest of the team, training and support, so providing them with hands-on training and enablement, and also resources to make sure that the teams feel confident with the new process and tools. And then most importantly, it's celebrating the wins and recognizing and rewarding the progress as we continue to build momentum with the changes.
Absolutely. The two there that are important that I love are the why. I think there's too often we don't talk about the why, or we think, hey, support's in a place, they don't need to understand, they just need to go do, right? I think that the buy-in that you receive from talking about the why at the very highest of levels, right? And bringing it all the way down to the detail, but the celebrating, too many people have felt, that, support is often not part of, let's say, the kickoffs or the what do you call 'em? Like the club trips, right? Things like that. That's okay if that's the business decision that's been made, and you can't push that snowball up that hill. Okay, but what other ways can you support?
Mhm.
And I think as humans, everybody has different ways of being motivated, and for support people, a thank you and a call out, in a public channel or even on LinkedIn or such, those things mean the world. And, I wish we did more of that, quite frankly, as an industry, because we see it at Customer Service Week. But
Mhm.
I think the other 51 weeks out of the year, it's something we have to practice and get behind because, again, you can make that change not feel so heavy, right? If you make it, a team and event, and you make it something that you can celebrate together, right?
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's really truly tied to one of the earlier questions around placing support into a much more strategic view of the organization. And I think like once people understand how support actually contributes back to the bottom line, I think that's when more of that recognition will definitely come across. But in the meantime, for sure, it's important for leaders within support to drive that internally and with the group and team and find ways to really help elevate the group and be out there promoting about the great things that the team is doing because it's too often that by the time things hit support, it's already reaching that um, escalated path or situation. And so just recognizing more of the good that's being done and coming from the team, I think is really key and important.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. So, one last question for you, Marilyn, as we kind of come into wrapping up the year. And, for some people, it's been a very long year. For some, it's been a short year. Depends who you talk to. What are you looking most forward to, as we kind of close out 2024 and go into 2025?
To me, it's been really exciting over the last, I would say, 2 years or so, where there's definitely much more importance placed in designing and coming up with solutions focused on the support space. I think that previously, before AI became, such a dominant topic and on everyone's lips, support was often overlooked, right? We had to be scrappy and figure out how to do more with what we have. And I think that just seeing more and more startups focusing on building out solutions and technologies focused on solving areas within the support industry is just truly exciting to me to see. I think that as time progresses, what I love to see in the new year is technologies that help break down the silos between cross-functional teams and
Yeah.
how to bring the teams together and work more closely and collaborate more closely, leveraging technology behind the scenes to help with that.
Awesome. And what about Maryland? Not the industry now. Tell me, what's Maryland looking most forward to for the next month, 60 days?
Thank you for asking that. So I am very excited. I have been working on a podcast that I'm looking to launch in the new year, and it's called Bamboo Hour. The focus is on creating conversations that are rooted in growth, culture, and connection. And it really ties back to my own cultural upbringing, being an Asian woman, and bringing more stories about my culture to the forefront.
I love every bit of that. So I don't think you can see it. I'll turn just enough. See my bamboo here that grows in water. And it's a weekly ritual for me to change the water in my bamboo. And when I'm doing it, I'm often, thinking about what it means for that bamboo to live next to me and grow in water. And it hears all my meetings, it hears all my joy and happiness, right? So I love the name of that podcast. And we've never discussed that. So it's quite ironic.
Yeah, no, and I love that. Never knew you had your bamboo plant right there. So I love it.
It's right there. I try to keep it turned, right? Because that also happens to be where my coworker, also known as my husband, comes and walks through all the time. So he's a remote worker as well. So I try to keep it positioned this way.
Thank you.
So
Well, I love that connection we have here, and yeah, I'm very excited to launch it, and that is just a personal project. One personal project that I'm focused on in the new year.
I'm excited. And I assume you'll be giving us updates if people want to know more about it. And we can go to LinkedIn. Is that where we should go and look?
Yes, yes, I have created a page for Bamboo Hour, and you can also, connect with me through my LinkedIn profile.
That's awesome. Look forward to that. I really do. I think this will be exciting. You're a wonderful conversationalist and you're always willing to impart, goodness and your knowledge with others. So I can't wait to see it become a true success.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Marilyn, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure spending time with Marilyn. If you want to reach out to Marilyn, like she said, you can use LinkedIn, easy way to get a hold of her. So, Marilyn, sincerely, thank you for being a part of this. It's always a pleasure for us to spend time with you.
I enjoyed every minute of this, so thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye, everyone.